Welcome to Lawyer Flash. I'm your host, Jon Deer, and I explain the law. This week, taxes. Does the federal government have authority to levy taxes on you, or is payment of taxes secretly and conspiratorially merely voluntary? The United States has a long tradition of tax deniers, those individuals who believe that the federal government has no authority to levy taxes on you and that it's all a conspiracy and a big lie to make you voluntarily pay taxes you are not required to pay. One of the primary arguments by tax protesters is that according to them, payment of taxes in the United States is completely voluntary. They get this claim from two sources. First is a United States Supreme Court case from 1960, Flora v. United States, in which the Supreme Court discusses our taxation system as voluntary and not based on distraint. Second, tax protesters point out that some IRS publications use the word voluntary when discussing completing tax forms and sending in payment. Tax protesters say these two things mean paying taxes is voluntary. Here's what voluntary really means under federal law. In some countries, you don't complete a tax return. The government decides how much you're required to pay and takes your property to satisfy that obligation. You have no say in the matter. They call that distraint. We heard that word used in the case we talked about, Flora v. United States. The United States doesn't handle taxes that way. Instead, in the United States, people fill out their own tax forms, deciding for themselves which deductions they want to take and how best to minimize the taxes they're required to pay. People have a choice in how they fill out their tax forms and presumably do it in a way that leads to the smallest amount of tax they are required to pay. That system, in which we fill out our own tax returns, presumably to our best advantage, is called voluntary because we are asked to do it, so the government does not have to do it for us. Now, to you and me, that may not seem voluntary, especially when we're required to do it. It seems mandatory. But when you look at the mountain of case law interpreting whether we have to pay taxes, every single judicial opinion, including Flora v. United States, holds that we are required to do so. There are also lots of laws written down that make it crystal clear that paying taxes is not voluntary. In summary, it is without a doubt 100% absolute that taxes are not voluntary. If you refuse to pay taxes and are able to do so, you will be penalized and may even be thrown in jail. That's our show. I hope it wasn't too taxing. You can find us here each week at lawyerflash.net or youtube.com/lawyerflash. Also, be sure to like and share our Facebook page and mostly subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jon Deer. We'll see you next week right here on Lawyer Flash. Be sure and check out these other exciting Lawyer Flash episodes.